Stuart 7A model steam plant. This is part 4, making some of the components for the reversing valve gear. If you've been watching this series from the beginning, you will notice that some of the components are completed and others are not. Most of them are just part made. In the opening titles for this episode, there's an image of the drawing that I bought from Stuart Models the other week. I blurred it out so you can't see the details because the drawing is copyright. Thankfully, I can see the details, and I'm just checking that all the components that have been part made correctly. There is an error though. If you look at this drop arm, it's wrong. The hole at one end should be smaller than the other, but it's not a big problem. I'll fit a phosphor bronze bush to repair the error. I need to make the reversing lever, because that's one part that hasn't been made. And normally the reversing lever is a gunmetal casting. I'm going to fabricate it using a piece of brass. Before I do that though, I'm setting up my other tripod so I can get some shots of the lathe. This is only a temporary measure. I'll put a proper camera mount in place. It's okay for now though. The lathe isn't properly set up either. It's sat on wooden packings, so it's not 100% solid onto the floor, which is a very bad thing for a machine tool, but I'm not making anything that is particularly highly precise. And the part that I'm currently machining is nothing to do with the reversing gear. It's just a piece of steel that I put in the chuck to make sure that the tool cut properly, and to check the camera angle, focus, etc. For the lever arm, I'm using this piece of brass that I found. It's not quite the right size, but by the time I've machined it down, it should work fine. As this reversing arm is a fabrication, I'm going to silver solder a phosphor bronze bush into a large hole at the end of it. Normal procedure: first of all use a centre drill, then use a twist drill of the size that you require, and with a bit of luck it's in the middle. Not bad, as I drilled this hole entirely by eye, using no scientific equipment whatsoever, except for my calibrated eye, which is working well today. It doesn't always work out like this. I was going to machine this to make the bush, but it's not very good. The hole's not in the middle, so I'll throw that in the bin, and here is a piece of proper phosphor bronze in the chuck. And this is much better. It's more than large enough to turn down to get a perfect fit for the bush that I'm going to fit in the hole in the piece of brass that you've just seen me drill. As you can see, the lathe is wobbling around a little bit. It didn't when I first put the wooden packings in place, but the weight of the lathe has crushed the wood, so now there's a bit of play on the base. This is not a good thing. You must always level your lathe and make sure the packings are never going to move. It's on my very long list of things to do. As I mentioned before, the ground outside the house that I've moved into, which leads to the workshop, resembles the landscape from the Battle of the Somme. It's very muddy, very uneven, and it's terrible. And at the moment I cannot get a car anywhere near the workshop, but this should be rectified shortly. Starting Wednesday, a team of people are going to arrive and create quite a lot of hard standing area behind the house leading up to the shed, with part of the hard standing branching off so I can get to the garage round the back. I'm spending quite a lot of money on this house, even though it's not my house, it belongs to my daughter, but it's only fair that I pay for the specific things like the recording studio, the workshop, and the access to the workshop. And if you're not already a Patreon supporter, then if you wish to become a Patreon supporter to help me out with things like this, at the moment it would be gratefully appreciated. The lathe that I use is a very old Boxford, and it has a 3-phase motor with a converter, but unfortunately in the shed there's a bit of a voltage drop from the house, so the converter's not working quite as well as it should be. If I can afford it, I may change this lathe for a more modern one with a single-phase motor. A few viewers have asked me why did I get rid of the Smart & Brown lathe, and say things like, how could you possibly have got rid of that beautiful lathe? But the answer is quite simple. I didn't have enough money, so I sold the lathe to raise some, along with some other things. I tried selling my body down by the docks, but unfortunately that was a bit of a disappointment and I didn't make any money at all. I thought about selling a kidney at one stage, but no, I didn't need to do that. As I make tutorial videos for beginners to the hobby of model engineering, I figured that most people would not have a large tool room lathe in their workshop, but usually a much smaller one, like this Boxford, and that's why I use the Boxford most of the time. And even though the whole lathe is wobbling about on the floor, as you can see in this clip, it still works okay. If I was going to be making a part for a satellite or a similar device, I don't think it would be accurate enough. I'm going to level it very shortly, so don't write in and tell me off about it. You've just been watching me machining this bush, and it's oversized for a reason which will become apparent later. I drilled the hole down the centre, one imperial size less than 5/32 of an inch, and then I used a 5/32 of an inch reamer to get an accurate hole. And now in this clip I'm parting off the finished component. And I'm letting it fall into the chip tray, as the chip tray is quite clean, which makes a change. And now I'm going to try out my new brazing hearth in the outer part of the workshop. So first of all, I spread the silver solder flux onto the part, and the flux is easy flow number 2. And now using my blowtorch, I'm going to heat the part up until it glows red. I'm watching the flux. As a good guide when silver soldering, watch the flux, and when it takes on a watery appearance, that's the time to just touch the silver solder stick on the joint, and the silver solder flashes all the way around the joint. After the silver solder flashes around the joint, hold the heat on for a very short time and then let it all cool to black. By speeding up the video, it's now cooled to black, so I'm going to quench it in a pot of water. This is not acid, it's just ordinary water that I keep in a plastic tub right next to where I silver solder. And that's it for this episode. I'm going to leave the part cooling, although there's no shot of the part cooling. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website. Click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you will find it very easy to find other videos that you may like to watch.